how do we move from that place of divorce to getting to that place of staying unified?
Yeah.
One thing that we realize and recognize from couples that we coach is that not enough couples deal with the pains of their past. See, what happens is we're always selling the good. We're always selling just enough or giving just enough. But that one thing that you tuck back in your back pocket in the corner.
Hello, and welcome to another amazing episode of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationships
from surviving to thriving. If this is your first time joining us, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And always remember that sharing is caring.
Today on TMC, we have our very special guests, Mr. Jason and Miss Angel Scott of Focused Marriage, with how to be intentional in your marriage.
Well, I'm Angel Scott.
I'm Jason Scott.
And we are a blended family. Our daughter is 31 and she's married and she has her own blended family. And then we have a son who's 26 and he's still single. And we just love our family. We love helping people.
Yeah, we love marriage. And actually we have pretty much have concluded that our marriage is going to be used to be a blessing to others. So we gave God our yes a long time ago.
Yes,
absolutely.
27 years, that's a long time. There's a lot has changed. You guys have changed.
Absolutely.
I guess we can unpack it on what you wish you would have knew then, 27 years ago, that you know now, what you wish you would have known then for a younger couple, or somebody that's just getting married. And then I want you to kind of talk about some of those, those changes and shifts, going from the 5 and 10, 15, 20, and so on and so forth. And we're just listening and on for the ride.
One thing, if I could go back from the very beginning, I would say to never take your marriage for granted, right? Don't take your foot off the pedal of love, because I think, unfortunately, what happens with a lot of couples is, you have that seriously dating stage, you get engaged, everybody's selling their best self, right? But then when you get into getting married and you start getting to the years, I know for us, we had a shortcomings in our relationship, 7 years into our marriage. Unfortunately, it was an emotional affair, on my part. But even looking back on it, it was one of those moments where took the foot off the pedal, right? I think we got this thing, on autopilot. It's going good. We're not having to, be as intentional as we need to be because everything is fine.
That's what he thought.
And that's what I thought, right? That was the biggest mistake that I could make, was to take for granted that our relationship is just in good shape and that we're good no matter what. But one thing I learned from that was to always be intentional. And ever since that, I have been violently and intentional about being intentional of our relationship and staying on top in every area of our lives.
Is it that you just learn to be intentional? Is it that you learn to be more open and honest and transparent about things too?
See, all of the above.
Because that was a conversation that we had when the situation happened, because I thought that we were having open and honest conversation all the time. We were having our family meetings weekly. That's how we brought our family up. But I guess it was a point in his life where he thought that he could handle things on his own. So it was more so about, he's in sales. He was selling copier solutions to companies, and a young lady there was married, was having challenges in her marriage. And so he started sharing with her, kind of like ministering to her, but inviting her and her husband to our church, to the marriage fellowships that we had on a monthly basis. In the midst of him doing that, he's sharing about our relationship and how we do things. And I guess that became attractive to her. And as they say, hurt people like to hurt people. And so I guess it just went down in a rabbit hole.
Yeah, spiral from there.
Yeah.
And the other lesson learned from there was, and we had to reestablish our boundaries.
Because we had to.
And I'm always one who has a heart for other people, whether it's male or female. However, I had to reestablish the guideline that if there was a woman who needed ministering to, it's not my responsibility to minister to her.
Yeah.
It's to send her to my wife, and vice versa.
But also, too, what you're not open and transparent about, it will eventually be exposed one way or the other.
Let's talk about that, because that's a big problem in marriages. That's a big problem in relationship. People, whether it's the husband, whether it's the wife, it's like, okay, I don't want to make them feel bad, so I'm going to say I'm good, but I'm really not good. I want to talk about, because here's the thing, and we all know that, we know the statistics. If you look at the world and you look at the church, there's not a big difference as far as this divorce rate. And you said something, I really want to dig into this, because I personally believe this is the big thing when we don't communicate, or we don't communicate properly. We want to, on today, we want to break that divorce demon, and we want the listeners on today to be able to listen to this, and marriages that are falling apart is brought back together because of this episode on today.
Amen. So for us in our relationship, we had the challenge also. I'm a very straightforward person. Jason is a more of a roundabout way. He goes around the corner, down the street to say what he has to say. And so he probably didn't bring it to me, because I probably didn't create the safe space for him. It still doesn't give him the right to do what he did, the behavior. However, women, we tell our couples, if you want your husband to be open and honest, you have to create the safe space for them to be open and honest. Otherwise, you will never get the information that you want shared, because he's not feeling comfortable. Does it make it right? No, but that's just what it is. So if you don't want to create that type of atmosphere, create that safe space so that your partner, male or female in this case, can be vulnerable enough to come and share what their weakness is. And I always tell the women to say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're having challenges with that. How can I help you? Like, how can I help you in that area? How can I help you be more accountable? Like, I'm here instead of attacking them and tearing them down.
Another thing, and that's good, and I want to go back to something you all had mentioned too, as far as like, how do we move from that place of divorce to get to that place of staying unified? One thing that we realize and recognize from couples that we coach is that not enough couples deal with the pains of their past. See, what happens is we're always selling the good. We're always selling just enough or giving just enough. But that one thing that you've tucked back in your back pocket, in the corner of your back pocket, and you never deal with, and that you're always afraid of dealing with, is the very thing that will creep up and cause a separation and isolation in the union of the relationship. And so what we're encouraging more couples to do now than ever before is to go back. Instead of covering the pains of your past, expose the pains of your past. Because when you expose a thing, that's when we can attack it. That's when we can get rid of it.
And that's when it can die.
Survive
in light.
It can't, that's it. It cannot survive in light.
It's going to die. It's going to continue to grow in darkness. It's like mold. Growing in darkness.
That's it.
It's like taking the fig leaves off, right?
That's another good point, because if you go back in the Bible to where Adam and Eve was in the garden, you notice they were naked. They were open with each other. It wasn't until the enemy came in that they start trying to cover up things.
I think this is a message for the listeners, even to just grasp this concept right now. You can hide it, but somewhere in your relationship, it is going to open up and it's going to be exposed. If you try to hide it, it's going to expose itself. So you might as well expose it. And I love how she said that. You can't live in the light. I love it. Yes.
That's good. That's good. I love it. As we are talking, it's so much, my brain is just flooded because I'm like, this is awesome.
This is
Definitely. Everybody has to hear this because it doesn't matter where you are in whether it's a dating process, marriage, whatever, vulnerability and understanding. Jason, when you said that, I almost got out of my chair because it is the truth. Most of the times, the things from our past, we covered it up because we didn't want them to know that before they married us.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's just like when Cedric always says this, when you have something for a while, you get used to it. And so you started off wearing all those leaves, but now you're comfortable and you done left them on the side of the bed. And now they whoa, wait a minute, where that come from? Yeah. Who is that? What is this creeping out? And even you yourself don't realize that now that thing is being exposed and is causing a detriment to your marriage. So definitely encouraging people to find a coach, find a counselor, definitely deal with the things of your past before they deal with you, because they're going to come up. I think we talked about this so many times on the podcast, how what is hidden is always going to be exposed in your marriage because it's a reflection. It's going to eventually come out and then it's going to produce problems that we don't want to deal with. So definitely dealing with the hurts of the past is definitely a nugget for those that are seriously dating, or for those that, even if you're already married, it's still not too late to go ahead and deal with those things.
And those engaged couples too.
That's what I was
Absolutely.
Say, dating engaged couples and even the married, I say, put it all out on the table. Guess what? When you first start dating, that's the best time to put everything out on the table because it's nothing really keeping you attached, right? It's either you like me or you don't like me. This is who I am. This is what I have. This is what I have to bring to the table. I have this baggage that I'm dealing with. I have this that's good. I have this that I'm working on. Like me or leave me.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing too, right? Both parties are bringing some baggage to the table.
Everybody.
So you can't be judgmental for the other person based upon what they have, because you got some stuff too.
Yeah.
So just put it all out there and be willing to come together and work on those things, right? Put it out in the light, expose it, hold each other accountable, and grow together. That's why we tell couples, we don't want you to fall in love. We want you to grow in love.
Grow in love. I like that.
Yes.
You need individual counseling, coaching.
Yes.
Get the individual
get
help
you together
need before you get the couples coaching.
Yes. And that, you know what, that brings us to another aspect of it, because I don't know, just something about relationships, because we always bring in our best foot forward, right? As if the individual that we're looking at don't have issues themselves. So it's so crazy the way two people get together, put on this big performance. I remember myself being single or whatever. It's like something in my mind make me feel like I'm the only one like this. Like I'm the only one with issues. And I don't want to share my issues because I'm the only one with it. And, you know, they're perfect because I'm believing the lie they selling to me and not knowing they believe in the lie I'm selling to them. and it's just a confusion. It's like, put all that stuff away and just be honest with each other. Start off, be honest from the beginning of the relationship. And if you're honest for the beginning of the relationship, you can have honesty in the relationship, honesty in the marriage. Because if you start off dishonest, the foundation is on dishonesty is not a foundation.
That is the crack in the foundation that's being built. And that crack of dishonesty is what's going to really damage all of what you have built around it. And so therefore you can't build on top of it, because anything else that you build on top of it, that one crack is going to keep everything unbalanced. And it affects more than just you. Right? It affects and impacts significant others and those who are attached to you as well. But you can't just think about yourself. You got to think about who all else will this impact, and how many other people will be, impacted by this crack.
And so that's what helped me to stay in our relationship, because I was used to cutting people off when they did me wrong. I was a one and done type person. And I had to offer up forgiveness, but the trust had to be rebuilt over time. And it was the consistency in his behavior over time that rebuilt that trust.
That's good. I'm glad you said that.
I'm sitting here like, ooh, because in the beginning, we talked about you guys being married for 27 years.
Oh.
And Jason, you said this was at the 7-year mark. So we are now 20 years
20,
past that. And here we have focused marriages, and you're coaching couples.
And I always say it was a pause there. It was a pause there. So I say 27 years now. When I tell people, but 25 years was pretty good.
So this is what I want to do. Speaking of that, I want to talk about what the enemy tried to stop. So let's talk about focused marriage. What inspired you all to begin that journey, and why?
Well, focused marriage was birthed because we were already ministering to couples in church, but we thought we should do an outreach and reach couples outside of the church, because all couples are not going to come in the church building. Just let's be real. You have to go outside of the four walls. And so that's how focused marriage was started. The name came up. I was driving to work one day and early in the morning, and I saw some binoculars like on the back of a bus. And I just had these binoculars, and I was like, what is the name going to be? And so focused came up. And then we put marriages with it. And in 2016, we started Focused Marriages. It started out with just engaged and married couples. And in 2018, we started working with seriously dating couples because people were reaching out, inquiring, asking. And so we put that spin on it.
You know, and I'll even take it a step further. Even when we first got married, matter of fact, I think even when we was like engaged, we were naturally attracting other couples. Like they would naturally just look at us and say, hey, like, I don't know what you got, but like, I want that right there. Right. There were young ladies at church that say, hey, I got this guy, I want you to meet Jason because I want you to vet them, you know, make sure they're good, this, that. But they saw something in us. And again, not only were we doing it in the church, but it just expanded outside the church. And we just wanted to be used as vessels, man, of God, to just be a blessing to couples. Right. You know, and again, to Angel's point, it's more than just, you know, people inside the church. There's a lost society. There's a lost world out here. People these days are looking for a sense of hope, and we were willing to say, yes, Lord, we'll be that answer. We'll be that example to be the ones that other people can look at to get help and assistance in their relationships.
That's good. Amazing. That's good. As you guys work with couples, this is where I want to go. As you guys work with couples, and for that couple that is listening today, what is, and if each one of you can give us one, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a couple to start that turnaround, to start being more focused on their marriage? If they say, hey, we just been mulling along, or we're in the mundane, we're in the routine of marriage, something is not quite there, something is off, whatever they may say, what is the one piece of advice that you both would give them, the one thing they could begin to focus on to turn that thing around?
I would say definitely communication, because we have a lot of couples out here that are together, like you said, just cohabitating, like they roommates. But a lot of couples are not meeting each other's needs. So I feel like if they start having communication flowing in their home, they can talk about those unspoken expectations, because a lot of people have expectations, but they don't talk about them.
You know, for me, it's hard to just say one, right? But I will be obedient to your question.
Well, give us 12.
No.
No, we'll be here all night.
Right. But the main one I would say, and I will go back to our personal experience, is if you're in that rut, be intentional about getting out of that rut. Right? Make a decision, make a choice to be intentional and push past how you feel and focus on the purpose of your relationship. So I would say be intentional in two areas. Be intentional about looking within yourself and identifying what it is that you need to change for the sake of the relationship, because we can't change the other person. It's not always the other person. Like, you're a contributor to this thing too. Right? It's either how you initiated something or how you responded to something. But I would say be very intentional about your personal growth as it relates to your relationship, but also to be intentional about making whatever's important to your wife or to your spouse important to you.
That's good.
We live by it. That's what we live by. If somebody would ask, hey, what is one of the key things that has kept you all for your 27 years? It's just that right there, that whatever's important to her becomes important to me. And whatever's important to me becomes important to her. We are each other's servants. People don't like that word, but we servants towards one another to meet each other's needs on a day-to-day basis.
It's love.
Yes, it is.
Only love can do that. Only love.
Only unconditional love can do that.
Only God's love
yes.
can do
Yes. Amen.
Wow.
So going into that intentional piece, what are some questions you guys may ask each other along the way? For example, for us, what I started doing as far as intentional, I love the word intentional. I don't know, probably it's like maybe 12 years ago. I asked on the anniversary, I say, hey, babe, if there's anything as a husband, anything I can do to be better, to support you better, what would it be? And she did it. The first time I want to get on the defense about some things, but I've learned that it was the best thing ever for us and a normal thing now. What is that thing for you all?
It's funny that he said that.
Yeah, we do it, and we tell our couples to do it. Ask your mate on a weekly basis. So for me, how can I be the best wife to you on this week? Like,
Wow.
Let's stop taking things out
A
6
month,
months.
6
Come
months.
on.
12 months from now. Let's talk about now. So that's something that I say, and something that Jason said.
I'm saying the same thing. How can I be the best husband to you this week? And it just really takes us 1 week at a time, because you have to be that detailed and committed to your intentionality. I know a lot of people use that word a lot, being intentional, but intentional can be falsified sometimes. It has to be followed up with action. That's the action that we implement and execute on a weekly basis, regardless of where we are in our relationship, right? We're always asking each other that question, and we are humble enough that whatever it is that she asks of me, even if it don't feel good, right? Even if she's like, saying something to me to like, but I thought I was doing that, and this, that, and the other, right? Hey, I'm open to being humble enough to be corrected, because I know it's coming from a good place. And at the end of the day, it's going to benefit the team.
But he also likes to do a lot of temperature checks too.
Always.
Hey, how am I doing as a husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
And so it causes me to say, well, how am I doing as a wife?
We're always temperature checking. Yeah. Right. And again, not taking things for granted. And that's the execution of being intentional in our relationship.
And we can definitely thank our pastors from the DC metro area, the church we was at for 18 years, because our marriage grew up focused on faith, family, and finances was his, mission. And we had monthly meetings from before we got married. Monthly meetings. And so that accountability was big, because you knew you was going there every month. And so a lot of what couples are facing in their relationships, we don't have a lot of drama stories. We just have that one, honestly, because we were there every month, and we were getting fed every month, and we were implementing every month something new.
But you know what? And we say that a lot, and I hear us say that a lot. And one thing just clicked to me was there are so many opportunities for couples to take advantage of things. No one forced us to go to those monthly meetings.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We made a collective choice.
Yeah.
She didn't have to drag me. I didn't have to drag her. We made a conscious choice to be committed to our relationship and to put our relationship first and everything else second. And what I'm finding out is that a lot of couples do not make their marriage the priority. Unfortunately, the kids are the priority. Unfortunately, making the money is a priority. Unfortunately, getting the likes on TikTok, right, and social media are more important. And people wonder why their relationships are where they are. It's your priority rankings are out of line.
Yes.
And I think one of the main contributors to the success or the healthiness of our relationship is that we make this right here number one.
Yeah.
One thing we share,
even with our kids when they were little.
Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna say. And here's something that we share with our couples, because we all naturally do this, and it's totally fine. We all want our children to experience better than what we experienced coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
However, they cannot be the priority.
Yeah.
And what we emphasize is this, is that we want our couples to be great couples. And the byproduct of you being a great married couple is that you're great parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, if you continue to provide your children with money, stuff, and things, you're showing them how to be great providers. You're showing them how to be great parents, but you're only giving them half the story, right? At some point in time, they're going to grow up and want to be in relationships too. So they need to see what it means to function and operate in a great relationship in conjunction to the money, stuff, and things, food and shelter, and all those type of stuff.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Jason, you about to start a whole nother podcast. Oh, yeah.
This is good.
Yes.
This is good.
Yes.
Good. This is good. Good. Great information. We definitely thank you all for your 28,
27.
20, no, I don't know. I mean, they had the
Been
date.
together
We've been together for 29 years.
Okay,
Okay.
29.
Well,
I said they had the date before they got, you know.
Well, you know.
I mean, well, not all the time. So
And we was a blind date too, so I guess
Yes.
I forgot to tell that part. They didn't have online dating back then. This was my best friend from high school said, I got somebody I want you to meet type of connection. So our favorite show is Love is Blind.
Yes.
That's
We can relate.
awesome.
That's
We
awesome.
had the original Blind Love.
Yeah, because we had an emotional connection before we ever saw each other.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's good. Jason and Angel, we thank you all for sharing so much with us on today and definitely changing lives.
Absolutely.
We pray for focused marriages, for God to do just what he intended for it to do. So tell the TMC listeners that are out there that will hear this podcast how they can connect with you all and what you're doing.
They can connect with us on Instagram at Focused Marriages. Now, I guess they have threads out. I got on there. They can connect with us at Focused Marriages on Thread. They can also send an email to focusedmarriages@gmail.com, and that's FOCUSED marriages with the S on the end @gmail.com. Our website is www.focusedmarriages.com.
Awesome.
On behalf of the TMC community, we want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
We appreciate the invite.
And thank you all for the opportunity as well.
Yes.
You guys did a great job.
So we hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button and turn on your notifications so you'll be notified each time we upload a video. And if you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationships from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.